Again, I haven't told anybody that I'm here, but it keeps me accountable if I just keep coming here. Are you hearing the music? I can't hear the music, but it looks like some music is playing. I'm gonna get rid of it now. There you go. I'm gonna stop the music from playing, and I'm just gonna pop back here. Hi, I'm in my trusty coding jumper. The sun is shining outside today. Finally, the sun is shining, but I don't know how long it's going to last, and I don't know if it's going to last throughout the whole day. I've got to get to the theater later on and try to see if I can get this a little bit closer. I get this closer, and then I can't see my screen. And I can't see my keyboard. I'm just doing my, once again, my learning a little bit of JavaScript and doing my Codeacademy homework from my 100 devs homework, just getting that done. I've been learning a whole lot. I've been learning a lot about functions and learning a lot about loops. And now heading on to moving on from primitive data types to arrays and objects. Haven't gotten to objects yet. Still working on listing arrays. The landline, the home phone is ringing, and you know when it's doing that, it's not a real thing, because that phone never rings. So it's normally scam callers, somebody calling from whatever. I'm just gonna let it ring out. I hope you're not hearing it. So I've been learning a whole lot. I've gotten to the point in my 100 devs. So I'm following 100 devs and Leon Noel's course. He doesn't have a live cohort going right now, but so I'm in a catch-up crew, just looking at the videos online that they've collated. The only thing about that is that it means that I don't get a chance to be part of the networking events and all of that, but that's okay, I guess. I'm networking, trying to network in the Discord, which is one of the most active, most beautiful coding communities and Discords that I think I've ever been a part of. I've been a part of some, ones where there are like loads of users, but not a lot of activity. And then somewhere, I don't know, it just gets a bit weird. Online spaces get a bit weird, I guess. But yeah, that's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna be here for a long time today. I think maybe half an hour or so while I do a little bit of homework with you. I do this on here. Sometimes I get one person comes along and just clicks on my feed, and I guess it's thank you to that one person who comes along. I don't really tell anybody that I'm on here, and maybe when I get a bit braver and I'll go on to Twitter and I'll let people know that, I'm on here. I don't have that many followers on Twitter, but yeah, for anybody who wants to learn and wants to be an old lady with gray hair, or, an older gent or an older human, and wants to learn web development, software engineering, wants to learn, currently doing a bit of JavaScript. We've done a bit of HTML and a bit of CSS, and if anybody wants to learn along with me, you're welcome to come and join the party. Okay, I'm going to drop this a little bit. If you see me popping off my head to the side, it's because that's where my screen actually is. I have a widescreen, an ultra wide screen in front of me, so it gets a bit difficult. So we were talking the last time about array methods, looping methods for arrays, and I think we saw the forEach method, the map, and the filter method. So I think right now we're looking at forEach. So that's, great, forEach. It kind of says, it does what it says on the tin, right? So you have an array of items, and in this example here they're using grocery items, and so we pop that in a variable. Now we can use const for arrays, and why is that? Because when you're naming arrays, you're naming them as a reference to where they're stored in memory, and that reference never changes. So you can change the items in an array, but you can't, but where that's stored doesn't change. So you can do all sorts of stuff. You can change this in here. You can use destructive methods. I'm learning new words, folks. You can use destructive methods, the methods that change the array where it is. But this place where it's stored, that place in memory, will always be the same. It's always going to be where it is. And that's why we can use const, even though we're storing an entity that can be manipulated. Whereas if we're changing a primitive data type, such as adding onto a number, adding onto a counter, because we're changing that primitive data type, we will have to use let. Okay, so to use the forEach loop, we get the identifier or the variable where the reference where we stored the arrays, and in this instance it's groceries. Then we use .forEach, and this is a higher order method because it takes a callback function. So we do forEach, we open our brackets, and then we put a function in there. And when we pop the function in there, because that function is going to do something for each item, then we use an identifier again for each item. And I don't think it matters really what we call it. Here they call it grocery item because we want code to be readable. So you use variables that make sense. You want to use something that makes sense. And so what we're going to do here, this is the iterator, this is the callback function. So for each is what we're going to do. We call the forEach method on the groceries array. It takes an argument the argument that the forEach method takes is a callback function. So that's a function. You start with the function keyword and you add in that callback method, you give it a parameter of whatever you decide to name. And you don't have to declare this. This is what blew my tiny mind the first time I saw a forEach function or a map of iterator methods on arrays, that you didn't have to declare this anywhere else. It's just like you pop it in there and you use it for a little bit. It's like it's temporary. And then you say, okay, this is what we're going to do for each item, each grocery item in that array of groceries. That's quite fun. Okay, and here we go. Fancy callback arrow functions. We like it. I'm getting used to it. I have to say, it's so much easier. Look at that. Look at the difference between this. I mean, I guess it's just one line, but but it's a few words. I think if it's very easy, and if there's not much else that's happening after the arrow function, because this takes the place of function and all of that, but yeah. And it says we can also define a function beforehand, but that looks like work to me. That looks like a lot of work to me. All right. So it uses a function declaration. Remember, function declaration is just a function that starts with the function keyword, and then the name of the function, your parameter in parentheses, and then your curly braces, and what happens with the function. A function expression is when you add it to all right, don't time out, I'm just talking. You add it to you assign it to a variable. So a function expression would be, I would say, const print groceries equal function element, and we do it that way. So this is a function declaration. Okay, so they all do the same thing. Callback function as an argument to the iterator. So you see they made a function declaration here, and then they added that to the forEach. Up here they did it with arrow functions, and here they just did the whole shebang by writing out the function declaration. So they basically did this, and they pop that in here after the forEach keyword. So that's fun. Okay, so what have they given me? They've given me an array of fruits. I want to eat right, iterate over the fruits array. So let's write this. So what do? Let's have a look at our thing. So we get our array. We use our forEach iterator function, and then should we use arrow functions? Let's use arrow functions. So let's say for each fruit in fruits, we're going to console.log, and I'm going to use a string template. So I'm going to use backticks. What was the instruction? Let's have a look at the instruction. I want to eat a. So there we go. I want to eat a, put a space. And then why am I going outside of here? And then because I was so used to concatenated, I was going outside of the quotes. I forgot that I myself had used backticks not 5 seconds ago. So we get our $, our curly braces, and we say fruit. Okay? How's that look? No, I'm not skipping the content. What am I doing? I just said exit. So that's it. Let's see if it works. There we go. I managed it. And yep. Oh, you can't see it because I hit it. It's like, you've done 2 days. I missed yesterday. Thank you, Codeacademy, for speaking out my business. This is really early for me, and actually I don't normally I was about to say Twitch. I don't normally stream on a Thursday because I'm going to be heading off to work soon. I'm going to head into the theater soon. But yeah, I just thought I didn't do it yesterday, which was one of my streaming days. So I thought I'd come in here, do a little bit of my homework, do a few examples of my array iterator exercises, and then I'm gonna leave you to it. I've already been here for 12 minutes and we've learned about forEach, so that's not so bad. Let's go over it. And I'm going over it. This is active recall. It's not really recall, but it's actively explaining it, because if I can explain it out loud, then I will remember what I'm talking about later on. And if I have to explain it to somebody else, because I've explained it out loud here, I'll be able to get that sentence, get the structure of those sentences out of my brain a lot quicker. All right, forEach methods. So if you have an array, you can iterate over that array using forEach. Now, basically, it does what it says on the tin. For each item in that array, you're going to do something to that array. You're going to do something to that item. Okay? Now, forEach is a higher order function in that it takes a callback function to work. So there you go. Let's have a look at how a forEach is structured. You have an array. In this instance, it's an array called groceries. So you put that there. You said in the groceries array, dot forEach, and then you open up your brackets because it's a method. And in that, you put a callback function. So forEach function, you have function keyword, grocery item. It's a throwaway, a temporary variable that we're using to talk about each item in that grocery array. And they call it grocery item because, hey, your variables should make sense. They should absolutely make sense. Because if you want somebody to read your code, you should get into the practice of writing. So this could have been zebra. This could have been anything for party dress of for each party dress of groceries, but that doesn't make much sense in it. So you got to make sure that you pop a variable name in there that makes sense for what it is you're doing. All right, so right here we go for each grocery item in the groceries array, and in this instance, you're going to console the grocery item. And they use concatenation here, which is different from what I use. I use a string template here. So that's not so bad, right? We understand that. forEach is a higher order function, takes a callback function. It's a method on arrays. It takes a callback function, and it returns an argument. It returns something that you've done to each item in your array. So that's pretty cool. You can do this with arrow functions, as you can see here. Groceries dot with there, which is your array dot forEach. This your temporary variable for each item in your groceries array. Use your arrow function, and this is what they want to do for each item. Also, you can make a function declaration first. If you want to be really, really organized and really clear, you make a function declaration first, and then you add that to your forEach loop array iterator, right? And this is exactly like this. So all they did was take this out. They took this part out. Oh, I should not be trying to move things around with my cursor. They took this out, popped it on its own, and then added that callback function to the forEach. I was able to do it here with my fruits. I was given an array of fruits. They wanted me to iterate over each item, and console log, I want to eat a. I wouldn't mind eating a mango. You don't really get good mangoes here in the UK. Where I come from, so I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, where I come from, you get good mangoes, and there are plenty, and they're well available. But here in the UK, no, there ain't no mangoes. All right, so I was able to run that. I use a string tab literal and the $, curly braces, syntax here to put in basically fruit into my sentence. And I was able to iterate over that and print out a sentence. So we did good. Let's go on to our next one. What are we learning here now? Okay, so we just learned about map. Ooh. We're going to cover is map. When map is called, it takes an argument of callback function, returns a new array. Okay. So map works like, so forEach, it doesn't really return an array. I suppose you could. Does forEach return an array? Didn't say, did it? But with map, it returns a new array. That you're literally seeing my brain function as I'm getting this information for the first time. Okay, no, look, it says it here. Map works in a similar manner to forEach, but the major difference is that map returns a new array. So if I wanted to manipulate the numbers or manipulate the item in an array, I would use map to create a new array. So I suppose in my old example, in the example I just did, when I wanted to write a sentence, I want to eat a mango, I want to eat a pineapple, I want to eat an apple. If I wanted to do that and then store each of those sentences in an array of sentences, I wouldn't just use forEach, I would use map. So that way I can have all of those sentences together in like a big array. Okay, so that's what map is for. If I don't just want to loop over an array and do something with each item, but I want to loop over an array, manipulate each item, and store the manipulated value in a brand new array. Okay, that makes sense. So that's the big difference. Map returns an array, forEach does not. Okay, there we go. So here's their example. They've got an array of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. very good example. They want now a new array with big numbers, and that big numbers, so they want to go through each item of the array, and they want to multiply each number by 10 and store that in a new array called big numbers. So I suppose, given the methods that we already know, so we know how to do loops, we know how to do for loops, right? So I suppose the way that we would have done it before having maps, I'm just going to use this this for an example, would be to say for let I equal 0, I is less than what's it called, numbers dot length I plus plus, and then we would go we would have a new array. We would const big numbers would be equal to an empty array, and we would be like numbers bracket I multiply by 10. We could put that in a variable, let mult 10 equals numbers I, and then we would have to big numbers dot push mult 10, right? Every time I try to get rid of that message, it does that. So that's what we would have to do. Oh gosh, what did I do? No, I didn't mean to make that into an object. I meant to make that into an empty array. So that, I suppose, is what we would have done and then we'd return big numbers. Yeah. Right. So that's what we would have done before having iterator methods. And that's a perfectly good usable. So what we would have done before is use a for loop, use bracket notation to iterate over every item. So numbers 0 would be 1, we multiply 1 by 10, and then we push 10 to this array, and then maybe I don't think I'd have to do that in a loop. I would have to actually do that outside of the loop, right? Yeah, because we want to get the whole loop over each item, do all the maths, push each item into the array, and then we want to return the array just the one time. So we don't want to return the array every time we do it, unless we wanted to see, but we don't want to do that. So that's what we would have done before. But now we have this nifty method called map, which is fantastic. And again, a callback function. So it takes a function. Let's see what they say. Numbers is an array of numbers. Big numbers will store the return value of calling .map on numbers. Numbers.map will iterate through each element in the numbers array. And and they use they didn't use the function word, they use arrow functions here. And because I suppose we couldn't get rid of curly braces because it's just one line of code and they're just doing one thing. That's what I learned about arrow functions, is that if it's quite simple, you can get rid of the return keyword altogether and get rid of the curly braces, and you could just put number arrow fat arrow number times 10. I think so. I don't know if it will work because it's like a whole calculation, but I'll figure it out. Okay. I'm trying to scroll on the wrong screen. So in that example, in the code we wish to execute upon each element, this is the code we wish to execute upon each element, that will save the value from numbers, multiply it by 10, and put that in a new array. So there you go. An array of numbers, and then you get a new array, which is what the mapping will return. It returns a new array, so we've got to store it somewhere. And you can put that in a const, because why? Because this is just a reference to where the array is stored, and the array can be manipulated, but the reference of where the whole thing is stored remains the same. Yeah. There we go. Okay. What do I have to do now? Okay. Add your code on the animals array before the console secret message. Use map to create a new array that contains first characters of each string. Now strings, they're like iterable, like arrays, right? They're like a collection of characters put together to form a string. So if I wanted to get the first letter from a string, I can use bracket notation and say whatever that word is, bracket 0, and that should give me the first letter. All right. I don't know. I've only got a few more minutes, so let's see if I'm brave. Let's see if I'm brave. So what am I doing? Animals. So we get the name of our dot map. Animal. For each animal. What's the thing? Animal. Right? Where is it? Yeah. And that's a callback function. And we just want animal 0. Is that it? So we want to, oh, right. So we have to put this, I forget, because we're putting it in a new, did it say what it is? Const variable name secret message. Const secret message is equal to, we take the animals array, we use dot map, we put in a callback function with the throwaway variable of animal. So for each animal in animals, we're going to map over it and return the first letter of each animal. I'm nervous. I don't know if I did it. I did it! Yay me! I don't know why I was so nervous, because I was like so busy. I spent so much time explaining it and I understood. I forgot to pop it in. I didn't read all. This is my problem. You see, I read the first thing. I read the first sentence. Use map to create an array that contains the first character of each string in the animal's array. I read up to there, and then I'm diving straight in. Oh, and I didn't read the whole thing. It did say save the new array in a const variable name secret message. Okay, let's do the second one before I gotta go, because I gotta go get ready to go to work. So can you all hear me? I hope that I haven't been playing like music in the background the whole time. No, I haven't. Okay. Let's see. What is the thing? So use map to divide all the numbers in big numbers by 100. Save the return values to a variable declared with const called small numbers. So let's do that first. Small numbers. Okay, and that's going to be equal to, so I've got an array, big numbers, dot map. Let's open that up. So for each number, it's a callback function. So let me use my fat arrow. And then we're just going to return number divided by 100. And because we use dot map, that's going to iterate every number in big numbers, it's going to do number divided by 100, and it's going to push that into the small numbers array. Okay, let's see if I did it. I did do it, but should we console.log small numbers to see what it looks like? Console.log small numbers. Let's do it again. Yeah, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we learned two things today. We learned .forEach, which iterates over an array for each value. We add in a callback function, which we can use. We can declare the function right just straight there in the forEach call. We can use arrow functions, which we've been using here in this method, or we can write function declaration separately and then just pop that in the forEach. So that iterates over an array to manipulate each item of the array. Then we learned map, which does exactly like forEach, iterates over each item of an array. It uses a function call, which we can add to the method by all of the ways that I just described. But what this does, now what's a big difference? They said it here, the big difference, it works in a similar manner to forEach. The major difference is that map returns a new array. So that's very cool. We learned two things today. We streamed for a little bit. Thank you to whoever came to see me. It's very nice that you've come along to join in. I will get brave one day and tell people that I'm doing this. Or maybe I'll stream on X as well. But I'm still a bit shy about it. So thanks for joining. Thanks for joining on. And I'll see you all again soon. Okay, bye-bye now.